Hey everybody, I'm Impact AEW. You know what, tonight, just call me Dub. We'll figure out my name next time. Heck, I was due for a change anyway. You know what though, it doesn't matter what you call me, because either way, I'm here to give you a rundown of AEW and Fyter Fest HeelCast style. Now, some folks will tell you that Fyter Fest was the greatest show since, well, Double or Nothing, while those within the WWE are claiming that AEW is going to implode under its own inflated hype. Well, as usual, the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. Look, Fyter Fest was a success. I haven't heard anyone say it sucked, that's for sure. I mean, there's always that guy, and I'm sure he's on Twitter, failing to convince himself that the show stinks, that Impact, ROH, New Japan, or WWE, whatever he watches is better. Well, I can't help that guy, and neither can you, so why bother, right? Look, Fyter Fest kicked off with a great three-way tag team match, and frankly, its very presence exemplifies what I love about AEW, a deep commitment to tag team wrestling. Thank you, Nick and Matt. For some reason, Private Party appear to be a bit polarizing, but count this guy among those that wants to see them more. In fact, just put them in the place of best friends already. And frankly, it was reminiscent of something I'd expect to see in ROH, back when it was good anyway. Speaking of best friends, does anyone remember when Allie and Rosemary's were best friends in Impact? Seems like ages ago, right? Well, it really wasn't that long. Allie had a rather forgetful match against Leva Bites in Fyter Fest. Now, why would I say that? Well, to start, frankly, it was one of the weakest matches on the card. Now, I probably shouldn't say this because I don't actually watch WWE, but the part that really got me, and frankly, folks, it irked me, was that it reminded me of something you'd see on Raw or SmackDown. I mean, let's face it, if WWE gets criticized of one thing, it's tacky gimmicks. And what's tackier than a librarian gimmick, right? And Peter Avalon throwing a book to Allie, her using it, and seemingly not turning heel, was, well, puzzling to say the least. Which is the other thing that WWE gets criticized for. Next up was Michael Nakazawa against Alex Jabali in a hardcore match. I'm not going to lie, I've never heard of either of these guys. And to be frank, I don't think a whole lot of people have heard of them either. But this hardcore match turned into a slapfest comedy match pretty quickly. My guess is that this match served to get viewers warmed up for the main event later in the evening and probably served little other purpose. Now, on the heels of these two lackluster matches, what better way to kick off the main show than with the Fallen Angel? Is it me, or has Christopher Daniels found the fountain of youth? I swear that man ages backwards. No shock that he put over Sema here in a match that reminded me of something we may see in New Japan. Sema needed to win more, and Daniels is always the consummate pro. It was just sad that they had to spend so much time explaining who Daniels was to the general audience, all the while billing him as the legend that he rightfully is. Daniels is a guy who really should have been given a bigger platform. Now, I know some of you are getting ready to go apeshit on me for saying this, and have at it, but I am not a fan of Nyla Rose wrestling women. I just can't imagine Dana White letting her fight women. So put her in the men's division where she belongs, and let her as a wrestle as a female and be herself. Maybe Impact's actually a better place for her these days. But look, preferences aside, let's face it, she, Riho, and Sakazaki put on one hell of a match. We can't take anything away from this match, folks. It was fantastic. And that, folks, is exactly why I'm so excited to be a wrestling fan in general in 2019. There are women's divisions all over the place that are absolutely killing it, main eventing and tearing it up. And that, folks, is awesome. There's another thing I love about what AEW is doing right now. It's how they're going about building their main card. Hangman Page, MJF, Jimmy Havoc, and Jungle Boy are all being built as future stars from the beginning. Page was going over here, certainly no surprise, but everyone got their opportunity to shine. except maybe the fans, according to MJF anyway, who cut a promo that Raven effectively ejaculate multiple times. My advice to MJF, though, start directing your promos at other wrestlers. That's where the money is, bud, not just getting cheap heat from the crowd. Cody and Darby Allin, on the other hand, that qualifies as cringeworthy. The chair shot flat out failed. Now look, it was rigged, but it failed, and Cody is lucky to have gotten away with just a few stitches. Given what we know about concussions today, just protect yourself, put your hand up. But look, that was after the match. The match itself was quite good. And kudos to Cody for giving Darby some rub. My only beef here is that Darby is too small to be competing with Cody, particularly in his first match. While I like Cody giving and extending some love to him, let him give it to someone with a little more street cred first. Now, speaking of street cred, who has more street cred than Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks? Yeah, well, possibly the Lucha Brothers and Laredo Kid. That's who. I can sum this match up with just one word. Wow. Now, folks, call me an Impact mark, and let's face it, many have. But this match really reminded me of the series the Lucha Brothers had with LAX and Impact. If you haven't seen them, check them out because they are pure gold. And as great as Kenny Omega is, as great as the Young Bucks are, the Lucha Brothers always seem to steal the show from them. And by the way, as great as Pentagon Jr. is, it's always Rey Fenix that's doing something unimaginable. Now, I've been saying this for a while, but I truly do believe he is the best in-ring talent in the world. And frankly, he's a step ahead. Let me take that back. He's several steps ahead of Rey Mysterio in his prime. And that's saying a lot coming from this guy. Now, if they would just let the Lucha Brothers go over one of these times, well, maybe in the tag team tournament this fall. Just saying. And then there was Jon Moxley and Joey Janela. Now, folks, look, I am not a huge Janela guy, but I thought he was great in this, let's call it, match. And I'm not going to lie either. When they pulled out the tacks, all I thought was, here we go again. Every hardcore match these days has tacks. Big deal. But then Moxley started taking Janela's socks off. Now there's a twist that got my attention. Kind of like ECW got my attention back in the day. But you know what else got my attention? The unsanctioned lights out moniker. But they did it in an AEW ring. In front of the AEW crowd. With an AEW ref to boot. It just seemed, kind of Bush League, to be honest with you. It seemed Bush League. Look, AEW, just call it a non-disqualification match and be done with it already. But that's a minor detail, and one this show could certainly absorb. Besides, we got the first inklings of a storyline when Kenny Omega came back out and laid out Moxley. And folks, that's probably the most important part of the show, because in order to survive producing 2 hours of content every week, AEW is going to need to have storylines, and it's going to have to appeal to the masses. And folks, I'd be remiss if I mentioned storylines without calling you out, my good buddy Hurls. Now, Hurls, you've been a big detractor from AEW, and specifically because you want to see more storylines. So Hurls, let's do this. You and me, mano a mano. Let's talk AEW. Let's talk about its place in the wrestling industry today, and let's do it HeelCast style. Now, folks, if you've been listening to this review carefully, you'll see they really have been marketing to the masses. Because at times, this show felt like Raw, or SmackDown, ROH, or Impact, New Japan, or even at times, ECW. And this leaves me with the following question. What is All Elite Wrestling's identity? Or was Fyter Fest a way of testing the waters to see how far they can stretch the wrestling nerds, the ones they made fun of throughout the show, while attracting a larger viewership that they're going to need to succeed long term? That's food for thought, folks. Food for thought. So, on behalf of the entire HeelCast, including Hurls and the birthday boy himself, Raven Effect, happy birthday, brother. I guess we're calling me Dub tonight. Yeah, that's right. I think anyway. Saying, have a great week, and we'll see you next time.